Okay, let's set the scene. It's Prayagraj, morning, April 19th, 2025. And, the big Maha Kumbh just wrapped up a few weeks before.
Right. The energy must have still been sort of lingering after, what was it, 400 million
An
people?
incredible number.
Ugh.
A whole temporary city, basically. And then, just as things are winding down, boom, a huge fire.
Yeah, and not during the peak, but afterwards. That's what's striking.
Exactly. It breaks out in the parade ground area,
The main hub.
and it hits this company, Lalu and Sons. They're like the main tent guys for the Kumbh, right? Been doing it for ages.
Decades, yeah. They're practically synonymous with the Kumbh infrastructure. They know the setup inside out.
So you've got experienced people, a major location, but the fire happens after the main event. Very unexpected.
Totally. You'd assume the biggest safety focus might have just started to relax a little.
And the scale of this fire, we're talking massive.
Yeah.
Smoke visible for miles.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that really gets me.
What's that?
No casualties. 0 injuries reported, despite how big this blaze was.
That is remarkable. Almost miraculous, really, given what was likely stored there.
Definitely a key point. So that's what we're diving into today. We want to unpack this whole thing.
Okay.
Reconstruct that morning scene, look at the emergency response, really understand the link to the Kumbh and Lalu and Sons.
And the potential causes, of course. Those exploding cylinders everyone mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then sort of step back and ask, what does this tell us about safety, about managing these, colossal events?
It's more than just a news story, isn't it? It's a real-world case study.
Exactly. It feels like there are lessons here, even when, thankfully, no one was hurt.
Absolutely. Sometimes the near misses teach you just as much, maybe more, about the systems you have in place, or maybe the systems you need.
So that morning, imagine, instead of the usual city sounds, you just hear sirens getting louder really fast.
An unwelcome sound anytime, but especially then.
People nearby talked about this weird orange glow even before dawn, and then this thick black smoke just billowing up.
Dominated the skyline, I bet.
Yeah. There was this one account from a local worker, Rahul. He said it sounded like Diwali fireworks going off, but like violent.
Right, not celebratory pops, more like booms.
Exactly. One after another. He figured it was gas cylinders exploding inside the warehouse. Terrifying.
That description, it really brings home the danger. Gas cylinders, if they're compromised by heat, well, they become bombs, essentially.
And inside a warehouse packed with wood, canvas.
Perfect fuel,
Yeah.
timber, fabrics, everything needed to build those tents. Once those cylinders go, it would just escalate incredibly fast.
And it seems like that's exactly what happened. This wasn't just a little fire contained to a corner.
No, clearly not.
That warehouse, as you said, it was packed. Think about housing 400 million people. Lalu and Sons provided a huge chunk of that temporary shelter.
Their warehouse wasn't just storage. It was like the heart of their operation for the Kumbh. All the components were there.
So when that goes up in flames, it's a massive loss of critical infrastructure.
It's like the backstage of a huge show, isn't it? All the vital pieces that make the main event possible are stored there. The Kumbh is this monumental performance.
Yeah, good analogy.
And Lalu and Sons were providing a lot of the staging. Losing all that material, it's a huge blow for them operationally, and it could affect future events too, planning-wise.
Definitely. Now, amidst all that chaos, the Prayagraj Fire Department, they really stepped up. Chief Fire Officer Rajiv Kumar Pandey leading the charge.
Must have been quite the morning for them.
Understatement. 6 water tenders dispatched immediately, then reinforcements called in from neighboring districts. That tells you how serious it was from the get-go.
Absolutely. That signals a major incident response.
Chief Fire Officer Pandey confirmed what was inside logs, tent materials, basically a tinderbox. He stressed how quickly they had to mobilize everything they had.
And that speed, that coordination, it's crucial in situations like this. Pandey getting resources there fast probably stopped it spreading further.
Oh, absolutely. Containing a fire fed by that much fuel takes serious skill and rapid deployment. It's a credit to their training, their preparedness.
Definitely. They managed to prevent it jumping to adjacent units, which could have made things exponentially worse.
Save those neighboring buildings, like the witness Rahul mentioned. Thank goodness for that.
And, we should remember this wasn't the only fire linked to this Kumbh Mela.
Right, that's an important point. There were others.
Yeah, back in January, during the event, there was that fire in Sector 19. The initial reports there also mentioned exploding cylinders.
And luckily no casualties then either, but still a lot of tents destroyed.
Significant damage. And then another fire in February took out 7 more tents, And of course, the stampede in January was a terrible tragedy.
It really puts it in perspective, doesn't it? The sheer challenge of managing an event on this scale.
Mm.
Safety is just paramount, but incredibly complex.
These incidents, especially the fires seemingly linked to cylinders, they do make you question the protocols for handling flammable materials.
Not just during the event, but afterwards too, like in this case.
Mm-hmm.
The warehouse fire happening post-Kumbh is a stark reminder, isn't it?
It really is. The risk doesn't just vanish when the crowds leave. The dismantling phase, the storage, it all carries risks.
Which brings us back to the cause. The investigation's ongoing, obviously, but those exploding cylinders, witnesses heard them, the fire department noted similar previous incidents.
It seems like the most plausible starting point, doesn't it? Improper storage, damage during dismantling, maybe a smaller fire setting them off.
Could be any of those. The fact that the January fire in Sector 19 was also linked to cylinders is, well, it's worrying. Suggests maybe a pattern or a systemic issue that needs looking at.
You have to wonder about the regulations. After that January fire, they apparently removed cylinders from that specific sector.
Right, the Male administration took action then.
But maybe the focus needs to be wider. Not just used during the event, but storage afterwards, especially when the main spotlight moves away.
That transition phase, it seems critical. When everyone's focused on packing up, clearing out, maybe safety checks on stored materials get less attention.
It's possible. Maybe we need stricter rules, specific regulations for that post-event period, covering how flammable stuff is stored, secured.
Regular checks, audits, maybe unannounced ones.
That could be part of it. Making sure facilities storing things like gas cylinders or large amounts of timber and canvas are consistently meeting safety standards, even after the main event buzz dies down.
And it makes you think about the materials, too. Are there safer alternatives? Fire-resistant canvas, maybe? Different building materials.
It's a cost-benefit analysis, isn't it? Higher upfront cost for safer materials versus the potential cost of a disaster like this, or worse.
When you put it like that, the investment in fire-resistant options starts to look pretty sensible.
It's another layer of mitigation. Prevent the ignition, sure, but also make the materials themselves less likely to fuel a massive blaze if something does go wrong.
Definitely something to consider for future planning. But again, amidst all this, we have to give credit where it's due. The fire department's response.
Absolutely. Chief Fire Officer Pandy and his teams, they contained a really dangerous situation effectively.
Their professionalism prevented injuries, stopped it spreading. It shows the emergency systems worked under pressure.
Yeah, the rapid deployment, the coordination, it demonstrates a level of preparedness that's essential for a city hosting events like the Kumbh. They deserve recognition.
Looking ahead, though, there will be consequences. Lalu and Sons. That's a huge financial hit for them, replacing all those tents, the materials.
Massive undertaking. And it could potentially increase costs for providing those services at future Kumbhs, couldn't it?
Possibly. Affects the organizers, maybe even the pilgrims indirectly down the line. It shows how interconnected everything is.
It does. And you have to admire the resilience needed for a company like Lalu and Sons to bounce back from something like this, given their history with the event.
So what do we take away from this? As the smoke clears, this fire, it really highlights the immense scale of the Kumbh, the vital role of suppliers like Lalu and Sons.
And the absolute need for ongoing safety vigilance, not just during, but crucially, afterwards as well.
It forces us to look at the infrastructure, the procedures.
Yeah.
Are they robust enough? Especially during that vulnerable post-event phase.
It's a moment to reflect, isn't it, on what underpins these massive, seemingly smooth-running events.
Yeah. What lessons are really learned from incidents like this? Are we doing everything possible to protect not just the attendees, but the people and businesses that make it all happen and the host communities? It leaves you wondering, what can we learn from these ashes to build stronger, safer foundations for the future?